Hi everyone, welcome to the Robert Show. Today we break down the SAS IDC data and AI pulse study and the trust dilemma that many teams face. The findings show why trustworthy AI leaders see outsized returns and how the right order of work from lineage and governance productionization changes outcomes. So today we have Manisha Khanna, who's the global product marketing leader for AI at SAS, with us, and I'm super excited to chat with her. So first of all, Manisha, it's your debut. Super excited to chat today, and thanks for taking the time out to chat a lot about SAS, IDC, data and AI pulse study, and other things as well that we'll be discussing. But just for audience, would you like to give a quick intro, and then we can get into all the different reports that you all have been publishing, and because you talk to a lot of customers and also the community, would love to know your insights around the AI and how the space is moving.
Sounds good, Dravid. Absolutely excited to be here and
Yeah,
meet all your audience. A bit about myself: I lead the product marketing team at SAS for all things AI. The role
nice.
revolves around market strategy, market engagement. So, a lot of work you will see today around the work on SAS and IDC study. We will talk about a very exciting project, which is AI Blueprint, and obviously SaaS experiences around this area. So, absolutely excited to be here and obviously look forward to the chat.
Fantastic. So Manisha, let's get started. Let's talk about SAS IDC data and AI pulse study first. What was the genesis of this research, and what is the trust dilemma that emerged as a central finding? Kind of curious to know a little bit about that, and then we can get more into the different statistics. I have a few statistics that I've kind of marked for myself that I wanted to check with you. So let's start with this, and then we'll get into more details.
Sounds good. So let me tell you a bit more about the study first, Rabbit. So as
Yeah,
I said, partnering with IDC, we surveyed approximately 2,500 respondents across different industries, across different
nice.
geographies, and the theme was, of course, data and AI. But more specifically, we asked about various forms of AI, whether it's predictive AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and even quantum AI, by the way. And what we
Mhm.
were looking at across themes was we were looking at adoption of these technologies, as you said, the level of trust in AI, and how tightly trust is coupled with return on investment on these technologies. So obviously, very
Right.
interesting, very holistic study, talking about the pulse of the market. Now, when we speak about the trust dilemma, if I have to oversimplify it, and just talk in layman terms, to me, it's a story of falling in love with black box AI that
Yep.
hasn't earned your trust, and that's how I see it. So, if I unpack a bit more, there are
Yep.
two sides to this trust dilemma, like the two sides
Hmm.
of the coin. The first is, do I trust this form of AI, which is basically your gut feeling, your intuition, and how you feel when you interact with these algorithms. And obviously, we all feel good interacting with generative AI, ChatGPT these days. Even my kids interact with ChatGPT, not knowing what
True.
they're doing and what's happening behind the scenes. Now,
Yep.
other side of the coin, and the equation is, should I trust it, right? And this is where the rational assessment comes in, the accuracy of the response, and whether we can trace back what we're receiving as responses to the source and explain what's happening behind the scenes. And this is the
Right.
question of, should I trust it? Now, when I talk about this dilemma, it's the difference between truly falling for someone versus them being actually right for you, right? And
Yep.
that's where the difference is, that you feel a spark, but then people might not show up when actually matters. And this is the dilemma we're talking about. Now, this
Hmm.
gap between I trust it or they deserve my trust is what we studied in context of AI, and we're calling it trust dilemma. So this is absolutely so interesting, Rabbit, on the theme of the study.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I drop a bombshell around what we uncovered?
Yeah. You did. And to be honest, trust is something which I hear from all the enterprise leaders. Uh, the first thing that they want to make sure that is in place when we are kind of thinking about Gen AI. And if y'all surveyed and y'all have seen that results, it just feels so authentic. let's get, as I mentioned, let's get a little bit into, the statistics as well. The study had a headline that should, that should make every CFO sit up straight. It found that trustworthy AI are 60% more likely to report double the ROI on their AI projects. So what's the secret sauce there? How do you unlock that financial treasure chest? Kind of wanting to know a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, very interesting. And I'll break down the question and I'll give you a little
For
long
sure.
answer to this. And I want to break it down towards two parts. And let's just unpack what the study revealed in terms of generative AI and the level of trust, because that's bizarre. And then we will talk
Yep.
about the ROI and obviously the treasure chest and the findings and what
Totally.
we're doing and what we recommend our audience to do. Right now, one of the statistics which was very bizarre was that people trust generative AI three times more than traditional machine learning, even though traditional machine learning has been here for years and generative AI has been in the market for a few years, right? That is three times more. And this is very counterintuitive for those who understand, especially people like me who have a math and statistics and computer science background. Generative
Right.
AI technology obviously has the charisma, but not necessarily the credentials, right, to be worth
Mm-hmm.
trust. And what I mean by
Yes.
credentials, I'll give some examples, and we all know it hallucinates. We also, when we work with generative AI, as I said, we don't know what's inside the black box when we interact with these technologies. And we also don't know a lot of times the data they have been trained on, right? Even the developers who develop these models, they train these models, they do not release the information about the data that these models have been trained on. And they obviously
Right.
can't also explain to us why was a response given a certain way, right? And what's even more concerning is, and I'll move to the ROI aspect of it, that
Yes, please.
this trust dilemma directly impacts organizations' return on investment in AI, right? And in terms of secret sauce, obviously, David, there is no secret sauce to any of projects when it comes to AI or even any other projects. These are really
Right.
pure engineering disciplines, right? There is an unglamorous work behind the scenes to build AI systems when it comes to enterprises to make sure they are governed and they actually scale. And if
Yes.
I talk about a few critical areas that we believe are very essential to unlock financial value on AI, to me, they are more about, obviously the level of trust and having it at the right level, right? Um, if I have to explain it simply, I think of the thermostat because obviously the weather is getting colder here in the US.
Right.
If you have your thermostat too low, then you would feel really cold to the level you'll be shivering. But if you set it too high, you'll be paying high energy bills to the level that you don't need it. And this is exactly the situation when it comes to calibrating trust in AI for these technologies. If you trust
Yeah.
technologies too little and you implement them in your organizations, most probably your systems will be underutilized and adoption will suffer, right?
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
the other hand, if you trust them too much, this is the problem with generative AI. Right now, you have a problem of over reliance on this technology. But the risk is that you do not have these proper guardrails. And regardless, both these paths lead you to the same destination, which is a long
Right.
deficit in ROI. And that's how we see trust is linked to ROI.
Yeah. Go ahead, please, Manisha.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that to get it right, because I believe you're asking about the secret sauce here. To get it right, I would think that the foundation of the
Mm-hmm.
implementations is absolutely important, right? And that foundation includes a lot of things. For example, I would argue that lineage and governance should be established before the first model is deployed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is universally true whether it's predictive AI, machine learning, generative AI, any
Exactly.
form of AI, right? Uh, Also, I would say that the approach when you implement AI and the culture you have in your organizations, I also see a lot of customers embracing pilots over productionization. I think the equation should be
Yep.
reversed. And a lot of companies, the reason why I believe the pilots are not scaling with all these technologies, even if those technologies show a lot of promise, is that the use cases they're selecting might not be worthy of investments. Many a times, as
Mm.
there's trust deficit, then you can't audit the systems, monitor the systems, explain the results. The point is, in terms of ROI and being able to get that return on your investments, it also takes investment discipline in AI projects, just like it does in other AI projects, right? So in summary, right level of trust, strong foundation, and embracing a culture of embracing productionization over pilots, having that investment discipline is, in my mind, what I would call the secret sauce, which is not a secret, but not lot of people apply it in their own implementations.
Yeah, I love it, Manisha. You've explained it so well, and thanks for those insights. You mentioned a very important point about trust being like a home thermostat. Set it too low, and you are shivering in the cold, and set it too high, you're paying through the roof for energy you don't even need. All right. I think this study also highlighted a concerning situation. High user trust in generative AI coexist with low organizational investment in governance and ethical safeguard, which is very important. So how is I'm also wanting to connect the dots with SaaS here. So how is SaaS helping its customers address these risks and also keeping the thermostat at the right level when it comes to generative AI, agentic AI? If you can tell us a little more about that as well.
Yeah, sure. And I would say that I love generative AI. I personally use it a lot as well. But
Nice.
it's not a magic wand, right? If
Yep.
I put it factually in terms of coming from a statistics background, coming from a computer science background, to me, it's a mass produced hallucination engine running on massive amounts of unmanaged data, right? And when you put
Hmm.
when you deploy this in enterprise scenarios and you wrap it around agentic AI, which is enabling more autonomy at scale using generative AI, you can see that the impact of what I said just gets multiplied tenfold,
Right.
right? So what we're doing at SAS is we obviously question these things every day, working with these technologies for nearly 5 decades, right? And obviously tend to work with these technologies for coming future years as well. And the questions we
Right.
ask when we apply these technologies is what are the risks they entail when we apply them to our customers, industries which are highly regulated in nature, like banking, like government, like healthcare, and we
Right.
just don't apply these and cross our fingers, right? Our philosophy at SAS is that trust is mission critical for the industries we work with, and every output these systems generate need to be validated like you validate any hypothesis, right? So a lot of investments which SAS is doing when it comes to agentic AI, and these are all in market using our SAS intelligent decisioning platform and SAS Viya. What we're doing is we have enabled guardrails to validate the
Right.
use of AI, making sure it's explainable, whether it's traditional AI or generative AI or agentic AI. We have embedded
Right.
the loop processes, which also run on trusted data and AI platform, which is SaaSfire, right? And I think it feels real when we talk about what kind of guardrails we invest in, because obviously there are a lot of providers in the market, there are a lot of systems and agentic workflow tools
Exactly.
market as well. So what should your audience, when they pick a system, look for when it comes to these guardrails? And obviously, SAS has thought through this. We are investing in this heavily day in and day out when we are working on enterprise projects. So I'll speak about a few guardrails, right? When it comes to agentic AI, guardrail number one to me is explainability and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Think about before AI, every AI agent decision becoming an action, could we provide interpretability tools that show why an agent made that decision? Now, it's simply, it's simple to say, it's harder to do. But what if you
So
can see
true.
logic, you can audit the decision flow, you can catch potential errors before they cascade, and that's the beauty of having explainability and trustworthiness built in, right?
Yes.
In agentic AI systems. The second guardrail, which we think is very important, is tracking lineage of the
Oh,
source
yep.
data, right? So think of every prediction, every recommendation and decision. What if you could trace it back to the data source it came from?
Yeah.
So if AI agent suggests something questionable, can you follow the lineage trail all the way back to understand what data and process flow influence that output? And obviously that goes in, as I said, groundwork, heavy engineering, instead of the pure generative AI systems. Without that engineering and foundation, obviously you're lacking these guardrails. I'll
Right.
also mention one more important guardrail, which I personally think is extremely important because I have worked for banks, I've worked for regulatory industries myself before joining SAS, and I know how
Mm-hmm.
critical these industry decisions are when it comes to autonomy and agentic AI. And what I think will remain, even if agentic AI systems come into play and they become enterprise level, will be human in the loop checkpoints.
Oh
People are
yeah, for sure.
as important as agents, and in fact, they are more important than agents in my view when it comes to execution processes, right? And when it comes to high stake decisions, in SAS Viya, we have allowed you to build approval gates in the agentic flows which you build, where a human could review and approve every agent decision and recommendation before it is executed. And obviously, you could decide what level of human in the loop checkpoints you want to have when you design that agentic process flow. So, in summary, when you have an integrated approach, when you set the right foundation, which is what we have done in SAS Viya and
Yep.
SAS decisioning within it, it enables building a foundation and ultimately deliver you the agentic decisions you can really trust, Rabbit. And that's what gets me excited about this technology.
Yeah, oh, I totally love it, and thanks for sharing those guardrails as well. Explainability and transparency, 100%. Data lineage tracking is very important, and again, human in the loop. I'm happy someone said it. It's way better than having agents, at least for now. We'll see about the future later. But these are fantastic insights, Manisha. Also, kind of switching gears a little bit here to Agentic AI. There were many other interesting insights that were revealed in the study around Agentic AI. Would you like to share a few with our viewers about that? And I'm obviously going to share the complete report with them as well so they can access it. But
Yeah.
kind of wanting to learn from your vision, what were some other interesting insights that were revealed?
Yeah, and I think there were some very interesting insights beyond the trust dilemma when it comes to agentic AI, which were related to the readiness of organizations and the level of readiness.
Hmm.
On one side, we are seeing all this hype on agentic AI technologies. We are all enthusiastic to implement it in the businesses. But the study
Right.
revealed, and it was an eye opener for me as well, that most organizations aren't ready for it, not even close, Rabbit, right? And why?
Hmm.
And when you peel the onion, you start to understand because the level of complexity, the infrastructure requirements, the consequences of failures you have with agentic AI, the requirements for process streamlining, the talent which you need for agentic AI, they're all in a completely different league when it comes to agentic AI,
Right.
unlike what you had in your traditional AI systems, right? So, what did the studies show? Some stats I can remember, and I'll just quickly quote them. And
Yeah,
some of,
please.
for example, were, let's say, 49%, which is nearly half the respondents we surveyed, they suffer with non-optimized cloud data environments, and that's a major barrier. Now,
49.
think of this: if you are trying to get into a Formula One race, which is what I believe agentic AI systems are, right? We are all want to
Yeah,
have high
for
level
sure.
autonomy at speed, right? So if you compare it to a Formula One race, then you actually have a Formula One race car, but you're running it
Hmm.
on a gravel road, right? Your car is amazing, tools are amazing, but your racetrack cannot support it because you don't have your cloud data environments optimized and ready to be able to scale.
Right.
That's number one, and that was, I would say, the most insightful insight for me when it comes to readiness. Couple of them were also around struggles on insufficient data governance, which means that you do not have traffic rules defined in the race. There are no games in the rule without governance. There were things around shortage of specialized skill sets, which is, let's say, if you don't have a qualified pit crew in your F1 race, then obviously the team
Yep.
is successful. It's the same with agentic AI. And
Hmm.
these were general purpose coming across most of the organizations we surveyed, but we also said let's segment the organizations and see the organizations which are more experienced in AI, what kind of challenges do they face when it comes to agentic AI, because they are very mature, they have got
Yep.
practices, they have got talent, they know how to do things. There, the nature of issues or barriers which came were things like API integration complexity. Let me
Hmm.
explain that. For example, for agents to connect to your systems to be able to execute those tasks, you need to get your existing systems to speak the same language, right?
True.
So
Yep.
think of it like you're trying to coordinate a pit stop when all your mechanics at the pit stop are speaking different languages, not a common language so that you can execute fast. And that to me is the API integration complexity we're dealing with.
Right.
Another
Right.
was agent orchestration. Now, think of those multi-agent scenarios. We were just talking about single agents. If we start about multi-agent systems and speak about them, then how would you coordinate multiple AI agents without stepping them on each other's toes? And this seemed to be a concern for many of the organizations which are mature in the
For
agile,
sure.
right?
Yep.
It's like, again, going back to the F1 race analogy, it's like having multiple drivers of race cars who
So
need,
true.
yeah, they need their own track position. They don't have to clash with each other. Otherwise, the accidents are really, really scary, right? When it comes to F1 race.
Exactly.
So these were some things, Rabbit, which are very interesting. So
Yep.
imagine if your data is scattered across 40 different systems, you have different, 23 different access protocols, different ways of communicating with the systems you have today.
Right.
You are in essentially trying to implement agentic AI in a house which actually needs renovation, right? And how do you do that? Because you're still living in that house, you're still executing on the processes because you have a BAU running. And I would say this is a massive change. So in my when I reflect on these results, I think that unlike generative AI, agentic AI might not be an overnight sensation, but if we do the organization-wide process redesign in a good way, in the right manner, then this will lead to massive benefits and transformation. And that's where I stand with regard to my stance on agentic AI at this stage.
Love it. You detail. You always share so much in detail, Manisha. So which is very helpful, and thanks for doing that. It kind of also helps us understanding, the complexities, how multi-agent orchestration kind of plays an important role. What are the enterprise leaders concerned about? And you also mentioned about the overnight sensation, which is Gen AI, Agentic AI. But it takes a while to get there, and then enterprise leaders, when they feel confident, it just becomes a game changer for their data and AI teams internally. Any final message for our audience that you would like to give? I'm pretty sure they would want to get more into the report as well and see. But anything for the audience, for the enterprise leaders out there, any message that you have, Manisha?
Yeah, Ravit. In fact, if there's one message I want to share is that we should all stop chasing these shiny objects. I know that's a trap, but we need to
Yeah,
start building that foundation right away if we want to really benefit from these new technologies, innovation, which is
right.
happening in the market today, right? And when I talk to my customers, I always tell them when you implement and start with your next agentic AI pilot, ask these three questions. Number one, can I trace where the AI agent decision came from? What's the source of the data? Number two,
Hmm.
if the agent takes a decision, can I explain why AI recommended and took this action? And number three,
So
if something goes wrong and a scary situation comes, a failure happens, can I fix it immediately and not wait for 6 months from now to get the fix done? Because
so
obviously the
true.
results will be amazing. So that, again, I would repeat, we need to treat AI like engineering, not magic. And we need to stop falling in love with algorithms that look simple and pretty and charming. And the relationship has to be built with your data, your foundation, your governance. Because at the end of the day, AI is only as trustworthy as the foundation you've built on it. And
So true.
when you properly engineer it and when you scale with it, within a governed environment, that's what is going to give you the ultimate competitive advantage, right? So one takeaway: please don't follow these shiny objects. Start working on foundation. You would never go wrong then.
100%. Building the foundation always helps and creates a long-term momentum internally as well, and the projects definitely succeed. Manisha, this is amazing, and thanks for giving us and showing us the clear playbook, calibrate, trust, build the foundation first, and only pilot what you're ready for to productionize, because it kind of becomes a challenge otherwise. If you found this useful, everyone who's watching, you can obviously follow Manisha on LinkedIn, and I'll be tagging her, and also we'll be making sure that we are attaching the report link so you all can also go and have an access to the IDC report and learn more about different things. But Manisha, if they want to find you, I think LinkedIn is the best, as I said, right?
Absolutely. LinkedIn it is.
Okay, fantastic. Great work by you and your team, Manisha. We'll keep the conversation going, and we'll make sure to have a 2.0 session with you very soon. But thanks again for sharing all the great insights.
Thank you for having me, David. Nice to see you.
Yeah. For sure. Thank you everyone for joining us today.